office of the Satar, and in this week's edition we'll be covering the most significant news and stories from the past 7 days. Stay tuned. Several ambassadors and high commissioners present their respective letters of credence to President Dr. MNEWS. All the dignitaries were escorted from Republic Square to the President's office in a traditional cultural procession known as Haikol, featuring the Maldives National Defence Force MNDF drum and trumpet band. President MNEWS officially accepted the credentials and extended a warm welcome to the ambassador, marking the beginning of his diplomatic mission in the Maldives.
The ambassador of the Kingdom of Thailand to the Maldives, Paitun Mahapannafon, has officially presented his letters of credence to President Dr. MNEWS in a ceremony at the President's office. Following the presentation of credentials, President Dr. MNEWS and the ambassador engaged in discussions aimed at enhancing bilateral cooperation between the Maldives and Thailand. The talks focused on several key areas, including the expansion of tourism and fisheries sectors and opportunities for growth in trade and investment. They also addressed the potential for human resource and capacity development initiatives to further strengthen the partnership between the two countries. The High Commissioner of the Republic of Zambia to the Maldives, Percy P. Chanda, has presented his letters of credence to President Dr. MNEWS. This significant event marks the formal beginning of High Commissioner Chanda's diplomatic mission in the Maldives. Following the presentation of credentials, President Dr. MNEWS and High Commissioner Chanda engaged in discussions aimed at enhancing bilateral cooperation between the two countries. The discussions focused on key areas of collaboration, including trade and tourism, with both leaders expressing their commitment to strengthening ties between Zambia and the Maldives. President Dr. MNEWS has received the new appointed ambassador of the Republic of Korea, Myong Lee. Following the presentation, President Dr. MNEWS and the ambassador held discussions on enhancing cooperation between the two nations. The talks centered on several key areas, including health sector development, where they explored opportunities for collaboration to improve public health services, tourism, with discussions on strengthening ties to boost mutual tourism interests, and technical capacity building, focusing on developing programs for public health and housing sector advancements. The newly appointed ambassador of the Republic of Romania to the Maldives, Steluta Arihaya, has presented her letters of credence to President Dr. MNEWS. Following the presentation of credentials, President Dr. MNEWS and the ambassador engaged in discussions aimed at enhancing bilateral cooperation between the Maldives and Romania. Their talks focused on several collaborative opportunities, including initiatives related to climate change, trade and tourism, with the aim of fostering mutual benefits for both the nations. The newly appointed ambassador of the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan to the Maldives, Dr. Mayan Kharesat, has presented his letters of credence to President Dr. MNEWS. The President expressed his enthusiasm for working together to strengthen the diplomatic relations between Jordan and the Maldives. Following the presentation of credentials, President Dr. MNEWS and the ambassador engaged in discussions aimed at enhancing the bilateral cooperation between their countries. The discussions included a focus on future collaboration in various sectors, and the Jordanian ambassador expressed gratitude for the hospitality extended to Jordanians in the Maldives during the COVID-19 pandemic. The ambassador of the Republic of Lithuania to the Maldives, Diana Mikeviciana, has presented her letters of credence to President Dr. MNEWS. This momentous event marks the beginning of a new chapter in diplomatic relations between the two countries. Following the presentation of credentials, President Dr. MNEWS and the ambassador engaged in discussions to explore avenues for enhancing bilateral cooperation. The conversation focused on potential collaborations in trade and economy, as well as advancements in information technology (IT), aiming to strengthen ties and foster mutual benefits between Lithuania and the Maldives. She is the first Lithuanian ambassador to be accredited to the Maldives, a significant milestone in the diplomatic relations between the two nations. The ambassador of the Republic of Turkey to the Maldives, Semih Lutfu Turgut, has presented his letters of credence to President Dr. Muiz. Following the presentation of credentials, President Dr. Muiz and the ambassador engaged in various discussions aimed at strengthening the bilateral cooperation between the Maldives and Turkey. The talks focused on several key areas including security cooperation, economic and trade relations, and advancements in the higher education sector. The President emphasized the commitment of both countries to further enhance their bilateral relations and explore new opportunities for collaboration.
President Dr. Mohamed Muiz announces his administration's intention to reduce the number of members in the parliament, councils and various institutions established under different laws, aiming to cut state expenditure. He made this announcement during a rally organized by the ruling party People's National Congress, PNC.
At the rally, President Muiz highlighted the inefficiency of electing a large number of members to the island councils, especially for islands with small populations. He suggested that a president and a vice president would be sufficient for such councils, deeming the current structure as ineffective. The president plans to propose amendments to the law to resize and restructure the island councils, making them smaller and more productive for the benefit of the people. Furthermore, President Muiz emphasized the need to reduce the number of parliamentarians to 77 members, as was the case during the 17th Parliament. He argued that such a reduction would save hundreds of millions of public funds, which could then be redirected towards the development projects. He asserted that large number of council and parliament members, as well as commissions, are not necessary to serve the people effectively. The President also mentioned his plan to merge commissions with similar agendas to cut government expenditure and enhance productivity. These measures are part of a broader strategy by his administration to implement cost-saving reforms. A bill to amend the constitution to reduce and keep the number of parliamentarians constant is currently under consideration in Parliament, reflecting President Muiz's commitment to these proposed changes.
The ambassador of China to the Maldives, Wang Lixing, affirms China's readiness to assist and cooperate with the Maldives in all key areas. The commitment was shared during a discussion held with the President Dr. Mohamed Muiz at the President's office.
During the meeting, President Dr. Muiz and Ambassador Lixing exchanged views on the issues discussed during the President's first official visit to China. They focused on measures to implement and accelerate the initiatives outlined in the bilateral agreements between the two nations. Ambassador Lixing inquired about the areas of greatest priority for the Maldives at present and reiterated the Chinese government's commitment to assist in these areas. She emphasized the strong bilateral ties and highlighted the patriotism exhibited by President Dr. Muiz. The discussions also included strategies to promote the Maldivian tourism industry, a critical sector of the nation's economy. The meeting concluded with Ambassador Lixing affirming to ensure the strengthening of the long-lasting bilateral ties between China and the Maldives. The meeting was attended by the Minister of Foreign Affairs Musa Zamir and other high-profile dignitaries from the Chinese embassy in the Maldives. The foreign policy of the current Maldivian government emphasizes collaboration with all nations to advance the Maldives at a balanced and rapid pace.
The government of Lithuania expresses Lithuania's keen interest in collaborating with the newly formed National Cyber Security Agency of the Maldives. Ambassador of the Republic of Lithuania to the Maldives made the remarks in an interview with PSMNEWS upon assumption of her role.
The ambassador highlighted Lithuania's advanced capabilities in information and communication technologies, ICT, noting significant opportunities for cooperation in both governmental and private sectors. Lithuania, renowned globally for its cybersecurity expertise and ranked 6th in the Global Cybersecurity Index, aims to share its strategies and competencies with the Maldives' cybersecurity initiatives. The ambassador expressed readiness to engage in discussions with the Maldives Cybersecurity Center to explore mutual interest and foster development in this critical area. Ambassador Mikivichienne, who presented her letters of credence to President Dr. Mohamed Muiz on July 8, emphasized that her appointment marks a milestone in bilateral relations, underlining Lithuania's commitment to enhancing ties with the Maldives. While based in New Delhi, in India, as a non-resident ambassador, she aims to facilitate closer ties between businesses and institutions of both nations. Since the establishment of diplomatic relations in 1999, the ambassador highlighted collaborative efforts between the Maldives and Lithuania in various global and multilateral issues, including climate change. The ambassador also mentioned Lithuania's Indo-Pacific strategy aimed at strengthening relations with democratic nations in the region, adhering to UN principles. The National Cybersecurity Agency, established by President Dr. Moise in March, signifies Maldives' commitment to enhancing national cybersecurity and acting as a central point for cybersecurity initiatives nationwide.
Attorney General of the Maldives, Ahmad Usham, states that the religion of Islam is a principle that cannot be changed in Maldivian society. He made this statement at the review meeting of the United Nations International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights (ICCPR).
Attorney General Usham led the Maldivian delegation to Geneva, Switzerland for the review held by the United Nations Human Rights Committee UNHRC from July 9 to July 10. The Maldives submitted its second periodic report of the ICCPR to the UN in March 2022. During the review, the Attorney General emphasized that Islam is one of the foundations of Maldivian citizenship and that no changes would be permitted to this principle. He also highlighted the current administration's efforts to strengthen the administrative system and legal framework. Usham noted that Maldivians will enjoy civil and political rights in accordance with the country's constitution and Islamic principles. The UNHRC will share a report on the findings and recommendations based on the information provided by the Maldives during the review with the Maldivian government on July 19, 2024. The Maldivian delegation, which attended the review in 2 sessions, included representatives from the President's Office, Attorney General's Office, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ministry of Homeland Security and Technology, Ministry of Social and Family Development, Department of Judicial Administration, and the Maldives Permanent Mission to the UN.
Minister of Defense Mohammad Ghassan Mamoon expresses deep concerns about the exploitation of technology to manipulate and harm youth. He expressed the concerns during his address at the National High-Level Conference on Peace and Security.
Minister Ghassan underscored the alarming use of technology to spread far and propagate harmful ideologies, specifically targeting the nation's youth. He lamented that at a crucial juncture, where youth participation is pivotal for national development and productivity, they are instead being influenced by destructive ideologies. He also emphasized the rising threat of terrorist activities, noting an increase in efforts to recruit new members, particularly those previously uninvolved. Acknowledging the complex challenges and costs associated with combating terrorism, Minister Ghassan affirmed ongoing efforts under President Dr. Mohamed Moise's leadership to mitigate these threats in the Maldives. He stressed the necessity for comprehensive collaboration among all relevant stakeholders to effectively safeguard national security. The National High-Level Conference on Peace and Security serves as a critical platform to bolster the capabilities of the National Counter-Terrorism Center and affiliated agencies. It facilitates strategic discussions among government officials to advance policies and priorities aimed at preventing terrorism and combating violent extremism.
Minister of Tourism Ibrahim Faisal assures the current administration is committed to addressing the national debt and ensuring the country does not go bankrupt. He made this statement during a rally held by the main ruling party, the People's National Congress, PNC.
In his speech, Minister Faisal emphasized the administration's plans for tourism development and the economic health of the country. He highlighted President Dr. Mohamed Moise's dedication to serving the citizens and noted that the Finance Minister and the Economic Council are working diligently to secure the foreign currency needed to repay both external and internal debts. Focusing on tourism development, Faisal shared ongoing efforts to boost tourism in Huadu Atoll, former city and Addu city. Discussions are underway to initiate direct flights from various Chinese provinces to Addu city and to enhance connectivity among the three atolls through seaplane services. Improved connectivity is expected to encourage the reopening of the Shangri-La resort, with owners taking the initiative once conditions are favorable. Mr. Faisal also mentioned the administration's special efforts to promote tourism in Lam Atoll. 3 islands designated for resort development have been awarded to a Dubai-based company, with 1 island already paid for. The company is expected to begin work on the resorts within a few months.
Minister of Fisheries and Ocean Resources Ahmad Shyam seeks legal advice from the Food and Agriculture Organization FAO of the United Nations to draft a specialized law aimed at protecting and sustainably utilizing marine resources.
During his visit to Italy for the 36th session of the UN FAO Committee on Fisheries, COFI 36, Minister Shyam met with FAO Assistant Director General Manuel Berengue. In their discussions, Minister Shyam highlighted efforts to extend the lifespan of the first anchored fish aggregating devices FADs developed 40 years ago with FAO's assistance. They also explored collaboration in mariculture with plans for a significant project in this field scheduled for implementation this year. Minister Shyam specifically sought FAO's legal expertise in formulating legislation to safeguard and harness marine resources. In addition to his engagements with FAO, Minister Shyam met with Gianmarco Centinaio, Vice President of the Italian Senate. He underscored the robust diplomatic and trade ties between the Maldives and Italy, particularly in tourism. The minister presented information on investment prospects in the fisheries sector, including opportunities in sport fishing marinas, mariculture, and the diversification of fisheries and ocean resources. He also highlighted ongoing efforts to reduce tariffs on Maldivian fisheries products entering the European Union. Minister Shyam's visit to Italy spans from July 7th to 13th for the 36th session of the UN FAO Committee on Fisheries.
Minister of Economic Development and Trade Mohammad Saeed announces the establishment of an agricultural economic zone in Utturu Tilafalu, UTF, aimed at cultivating 70% of approximately 15 varieties of vegetables and fruits commonly used in the Maldives.
Speaking at a meeting at the main office of the People's National Congress PNC, Minister Saeed highlighted the nearing completion of the feasibility study for the UTF agricultural zone. The project aims to market 70% of the country's chicken eggs and chickens along with various vegetables and fruits. Significant international work is being conducted on the project, including studies on soil quality and sunshine in the Maldives carried out in international laboratories. Minister Saeed emphasized the project's potential to generate around 800 job opportunities in the Maldives. Local production of agricultural products is expected to reduce reliance on imports and lower food prices, leading to a 10 to 20% decrease in food costs and a significant reduction in imports, easing the burden on foreign exchange. President Dr. Mohammad Muiz has prioritized food security challenges in the Maldives. In line with this, the Maldives Industrial Development Free Zone MIDFZ signed an agreement with China Harbour Engineering Company Limited CHEC in March this year. The agreement aims to establish an agricultural economic zone in UTF, including bridging UTF, developing primary infrastructure, creating an agricultural industrial park, and establishing passenger and freight terminals along with other related infrastructure facilities.
Comptroller General of Immigration Mohammad Shamman issues a warning stating that legal action will be pursued against individuals who employ illegal expatriates.
In a social media post, Shamman emphasized that it is unlawful to engage in financial transactions with foreigners or to hire unauthorized foreign workers, according to the Maldives Immigration Act. He also noted that violators will face penalties as stipulated by the law. Additionally, Shamman highlighted the authority given to the Comptroller General of Immigration to penalize individuals that employ illegal expatriates, including fines up to $3,242 and temporary passport retention. He also urged public compliance with the Act and the regulations made under it. The Maldives Immigration has launched a joint operation in collaboration with the Maldives Police Service (MPS) to identify illegal immigrants across the nation. Under this operation, several immigrants have been brought up to the custody of the Maldives Immigration. The government plans to expand the operation to encompass all islands in the country within the coming year. In addition, efforts are underway to centralize information on all foreigners in the Maldives into a unified database, aiming to resolve related issues within a 3-year time frame.
President of the Elections Commission of the Maldives ECM, Fuad Tawfiq, states that the government's plan to combine the presidential and parliamentary elections is a good idea and will boost voter turnout.
Speaking to PSMNEWS, Fuad mentioned that necessary legal amendments are underway to hold these major elections simultaneously. President Dr. Mohamed Muiz highlighted that conducting the elections separately incurs significantly higher cost for the state and suggested that merging them would benefit the public. Fuad emphasized the importance of holding the elections together, noting that the short interval between them increases state expenses and strains ECM employees, political parties, candidates and voters. He views this move as important given the current financial situation in the Maldives. He also said that combining the elections would reduce cost and time and streamline the awareness and development of the electoral process. Furthermore, Fuad mentioned that holding the elections together could save approximately 45% of the election costs. He stated that the average cost for a single election is $7.8 million, while separate presidential and parliamentary elections cost $19 million. Combined, the total cost would not exceed $8 million. Moreover, Fuad believes that combining the elections will increase voter turnout. Currently, presidential elections see an average turnout of 90%, while parliamentary elections see 80%. He pointed out that while it is easier to recruit officials for the presidential elections, there are challenges in doing so for the parliamentary elections. He also said that combining the two would address such difficulties. ECM stated the decision to combine the presidential and parliamentary elections will be made through a public referendum.
Managing Director of Maldives Airports Company Limited (MSCL), Ibrahim Sharif Mohammed, announces plans to establish a water runway aiming to commence seaplane operations during the night. Sharif made these remarks during a panel discussion at the Air Service World Congress 2024.
Speaking at the discussion, Managing Director Sharif revealed that during the peak season, seaplane movements are recorded every minute of the day, with the number of movements increasing to 70 on some days. He unveiled the goal of extending seaplane operations into the night hours before the winter peak season arrives. Currently, seaplane operations begin at dawn and end at 6 p.m. due to the lack of adequate resources and facilities for nighttime operations. To meet the growing demand for seaplane services, MSCL is exploring strategies to expand operations and introduce new innovations in the sector. Sharif emphasized the importance of planning for these innovations and revealed the Maldives' commitment to providing full cooperation to international investors and businesses interested in advancing seaplane services. He highlighted interest in exploring a variety of seaplane aircraft designs and methods for incorporating renewable energy into seaplane operations. Maldives holds the largest seaplane fleet in the world, with over 60 aircraft in operation since services began in 1990. The planned water runway and expansion of nighttime operations aim to further enhance the Maldives' position as a leader in global seaplane services.
The Air Service World Congress successfully concludes with over 150 aviation delegates from across the globe.
The Congress was held from July 9th to 11th at Kurumba, Maldives, Sheraton Maldives Full Moon Resort and Spa, and Sai Lagoon, Maldives. It was also organized in collaboration with the Maldives Airports Company Limited (MSCL). The Congress serves as a key platform for professionals in the air transport sector to foster networking and business opportunities. The opening ceremony took place at Sheraton Maldives Full Moon Resort and Spa, while the panel discussions and closing ceremony were hosted at Kurumba, Maldives. Networking events were also held at Sai Lagoon, Maldives in Crossroads. Participants were also updated on the developments in Maldives' aviation sector, including the contributions of Velana International Airport (VIA), the national airline Maldivian, and local tourism operators. MSCL highlighted that the Congress offered valuable insights into the ongoing advancements in the Maldivian aviation industry and facilitated new business connections and growth opportunities. The next Air Service World Congress will be held at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport. This annual event, which began in 2010, continues to be a significant gathering for the aviation sector.
And that's a wrap for this week's 168 Hours. Thank you for tuning in to PSM News. We'll be back next week with more updates on the most important events and developments. I'm Hafiz Abdusattar and I look forward to seeing you next week. Have a great week ahead. Goodbye.
Broadcast sponsors of PSM coverage. Brought to you by STO. Powered by Stelco. MHA. Banking partner, Bank of Maldives. Powered by Maldives Ports Limited. Associated by MTCC. Housing Development Corporation.